I shouldn't make that face because it always like. Hi, everybody. I'm
hey,
sure
everybody.
we're just on here. We'll wait a minute before we really get going. But happy Saturday. Hey, Jessica.
Yeah. Hey, how's it going? An unusual day for us to broadcast, but it's kind of a special day. So.
Yeah, we thought we'd do a little sneak peek of some big news we found out on Friday that's happening next week. So I see people are joining, so we'll let them do that. Feel free. In fact, please say hello in the comments and where you're tuning in from. Where are you, Jessica? Let's say
hi, I'm Jessica. I am.
Oh no, your internet.
I am. Oh, sorry. Am I back?
Yeah, now you are.
All right. Sorry about that. I have terrible.
She still has terrible internet. Oh, it's not working very well. Poop. It was working just fine as we were getting ready, but now she looks frozen for me, and I'm guessing. All right, I'll talk. This is Kaitlin. I moved to a men's national director, and I'm in Sacramento, California, and happy holiday weekend if you celebrate this weekend. Okay, it looks like you're back. Hopefully that sticks around.
My back. Okay? Sorry, I had to move.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
I can hear you fine.
I think we're good. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Your introduction got messed up. So do you want to say hey?
Sure. Hey, everybody. I'm Jessica Munger. I'm moved to a men's program director, and I live in Las Vegas, Nevada. And yeah, this special Saturday announcement. Thanks for being here.
Okay, so I want to make people guess because I want this to be fun. So tell us right now, what do you think it is? News is happening on Monday. We found out on Friday. Everybody out there, guess what you think our news is. And we may have a prize for somebody who guesses right. Oh. Or most amusingly.
Most amusingly. I like that.
We need to think of something to like pass the time while people are typing in their guesses, though.
All right. Well,
let's explain what move to amend is for anybody who doesn't know.
That sounds good. Hey, everybody. Hey, Karen. Thanks for saying hey. Okay, so if you don't know, Move to Amend is a national grassroots organization working to address corporate power and money in politics through a constitutional amendment. That's going to be the 28th Amendment, and it says basically two things. One is that corporations and other artificial entities should not have constitutional rights, and that money is not free speech. So when we're talking about the amendment, that's the We the People Amendment, and you can learn a lot more about it and read the text at movetoamend.org in case you're new to this.
So far, nobody has guessed what it is. We're not suing both parties, although there is a list 100,000 pages long for why we might. And we're not introducing the Equal Rights Amendment. And I am not running for president.
No, thank you.
I doubt Jessica is either. If she is, that's news to me.
No, definitely. That might be the most amusing so far, though. That's pretty funny.
All right. So Biden is resigning and a new election is happening. I don't know who that is. That's somebody, actually, that must be one of our coworkers who's talking to the Move to Amend account. My own account said, our own account is confused. Somebody is on there playing around. Like,
not nuclear fusion. No one's running for president.
Okay, so I'll give you a hint. Those of you who are talking about like the amendment passing in the Senate, that would be impossible because the amendment hasn't been introduced yet in either house. Now guess. I don't know, Jay, because they're kidding. It's not that big a deal. Don't worry about it. We're adopting. No, not at this point. All right. Let's see. Let's have one more opportunity. It's another hint. It's something that has happened before, but has not happened yet in this Congress. I'm like telling you. Yeah. Okay, Ajay, you get it. It is. What is it, Jessica? What's the news?
That the We the People Amendment will finally be reintroduced in this Congress, the 117th Congress. Woo!
So, a little bit of background. The amendment, this will be the 5th time that it's been introduced in the House. We started in the 113th Congress. Remember, every Congress is 2 years. And we started with 3 co-sponsors, and we don't know how many we will get this time. Our goal is to get 100 by the end of this year. And we didn't know that it was going to be reintroduced this soon because we've been waiting for the number 48, because we have had 48 for 4 Congress cycles, and or 3, and this will be the 4th. So we wanted to keep that same number, which means we don't get to control, and neither does Pramila Jayapal, the lead congressperson who's introducing it. So there's no control over that. And they are on 38, but we got news from her office on Friday afternoon that they were alerted by the clerk that based on kind of the queue, the amendment will be introduced next week, possibly as soon as Monday. It looks like it could be Monday. So what does that mean, Jessica?
So that means that anybody who wants to come on as an initial co-sponsor, means that you're on before it's introduced. So when it meets the floor, when people see it, your name's already on it. So if someone wants to be an initial co-sponsor on HJR 48, they need to let Pramila Jayapal's office know by Monday. So that's the deadline for new initial co-sponsors. So that's really exciting. We've got a bunch of really great people on as initial co-sponsors already, who you'll hear about next week. But if you have a representative that you think is right there and wants to come on as an initial co-sponsor, they better do it fast. So we're asking folks to give calls to your representatives' offices and let them know that you want them to be in as an initial co-sponsor, and they need to let Jayapal's office know as soon as possible so they can be in on that. Of course, once the amendment is introduced, we want a lot more people to come on as co-sponsors too, but if they want to have their name on as an initial, as leadership on this issue, now is the time. So we've been working for months on getting these folks lined up. Every time your bill is reintroduced in a new Congress, you have to regather all of your co-sponsors so that it doesn't just roll over. So we have been doing the work, and our affiliates and volunteers and so many of you here have been doing the work to line up these co-sponsorships. And so we've got a great lineup, and we're really excited to have this be public and ready for even more folks to come on and show their support. So yay.
Yeah, it's really good news. And a relief, just kind of logistically, because what it means when the amendment hasn't been introduced yet is it was making it hard for us to kind of give any sort of urgency to these requests that we've been having. So that's why we are hoping that on Monday, all the people that we've already been talking with, which is, about 120 different offices that we've identified as top targets, we hope that we can coalesce them with this deadline that we now have. And it'll make it easier than going forward, because a number of offices have been like, oh yeah, let us know when it gets introduced, then we'll get to it. And we know that they have, an enormous pile of both legitimate and kind of ridiculous things that are on their stacks. And so it's easy to put something like this, which, is a systemic solution, is, it's hard to make it feel more immediate, even though there's, we needed this amendment yesterday to be passed, and it connects to almost every issue that is immediate, whether we're talking about, Medicare for all and the need for healthcare and addressing COVID crisis, or whether we're talking about climate change and all of that. So this will just help us move forward. And we were kind of in this holding pattern for the first part of this year. We've never had the amendment take this long to be introduced with the number 48. Normally it's in February. So we were feeling kind of frustrated and like, oh man, this is still going to take, they're on 38 now. So at the rate that we were seeing it, it was going to take, weeks still. But good news is they're finally picking up the pace. And So now we can get on with our organizing. It has not been introduced in the Senate yet, like to date. And we don't have a lead in the Senate. We're continuing to work on several prospects. There's not a lot that we can say about that all publicly in terms of naming names. But the kind of punchline there is that the Senate is really not showing up the way that they should. and there's more work to do there. And that needs to be done by folks letting senators know that this is, of the utmost importance to you and critical for your support. So first we're taking care of the House, and then, and our goal to try and get 100 co-sponsors this year. We ended last year with 75. There are about 68, or there are 68 who are still in Congress. And so some of them, didn't run for re-election. Some of them were appointed to cabinet positions, et cetera, et cetera. So 68 of those folks. We have, I can say, as far as we know, hopefully there will be a pretty nice surge on Monday when they finally have like a deadline. But to date, there are 48 reps who have committed to being on that initial co-sponsor list. We have talked to Senator Sanders' office many times. When I say that the Senate isn't doing what it needs to do, you can fill in the blank that every single progressive senator that you might have imagined that we could have talked to who would be a good candidate has been communicated with numerous times.
Yeah, we can see that the Senate understands that the We the People amendment in so many ways, disrupts the status quo, and not just the status quo that they can publicly sort of come up against, but like the deeply, deeply entrenched entire way that this system works. So, there are progressives in the Senate who, might make sense to, because they talk about campaign finance reform or whatever, but there really is a lack of any senators showing any real courage in terms of, actually addressing corporate constitutional rights. And they're not going to do it without a demand. So that's the thing, right? It's actually not their work. It's our work to make sure that they know that, either they do this or blank. Right? We vote them out, we replace them, whatever. So if we want a senator to come on, it's our job to be really, really clear that, there's good reason that they do it. Otherwise, they don't have much incentive, right?
Right. So like I said earlier, it would not be helpful for the work that we're doing in the Senate on these offices for us to talk about any one senator in this conversation right here. So we're not going to do that. If your senator you think would be a good candidate, then contacting them would be a good way to go. And then also you can contact us and we can work together on how to go about doing that. We can fill you in on what's been done so far, but in this public forum, that's not a place for us to do that kind of conversation right now. So if you're passionate about this and you want to help, then go to movetoamend.org and you can contact us through the site. If you're not already on our, part of our movement, then signing up and signing our petition. A lot of internet petitions are, just kind of don't necessarily go anywhere, but we actually use ours for organizing whenever we contact, whether it's senators or House members or sometimes we do work at the state level as well. It's important for us to have the numbers in, each district to be able to say, X thousands of people have signed this petition to you, asking you to sign on to this. So that's why it's important to sign the Move to Amend petition and to get all of your friends and family, no matter where they live, to go ahead and do that too. That's like the teeniest little action. It's so easy. It takes nothing, but it makes a difference when we go into these meetings. And, I'll say that like in cities, for whatever reason, we have a harder time, I guess, just like kind of breaking through the noise or whatnot. So it is not good when we don't have at least hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of people in each district. And so that's like step number one. But if you also want to plug in and specifically help work on your rep or your senator, then let's do that together and get in touch with us, sign up to volunteer, and we will loop you in and give you the resources that you need to start having those conversations and educating their staff and their offices and ultimately the senators and reps themselves.
Right, totally. So what we need Senate to do is to introduce a companion bill to House Joint Resolution 48. That means that it's going to be, the same language as the bill in the House. And that's important because there's a lot of people out there and organizations who are maybe trying to push other solutions that they see for these issues, but they're very much watered down and not actually helpful. And so it's really important that the We the People amendment be the thing that senators know is the standard, right? We're not trying to settle for anything less than that. And so we need to be clear, right? We don't go in compromising. We go in saying what we need is House Joint Resolution 48, the We the People amendment, and we want the Senate to do the same thing. And anything less is not good enough. So that's where we're at.
So that's the news. There'll be more coming out next week on how you can plug in. Also, if you're not already on the Move to Amend email list, that's kind of the best way to get the news about anything and the resources. And then the last thing just to say is that we are entirely grassroots funded, and we can't do this work without supporters like you making donations to make it possible. We don't get any government funding. We don't obviously get any corporate funding. And we don't get a lot of funding from folks with a lot of money. Most of our donations are, the average donation is $40. We make this work with thousands of people giving a little bit, and ideally a little bit every month. So if you're in a position to become a sustaining donor, like I am, Jessica, I think is as well still, right? Yeah. So everybody on our team, we all give monthly. Obviously we're giving our time as well. And if you can pitch in, $5 a month, $10 a month, I give $28 a month for the 28th Amendment. If you're in a position to do that, then that's amazing. And if you can't give monthly, then, at least one time now is a key moment that we really want to, step on the gas as it gets introduced. And the more co-sponsors and support that we can have in the House, the better our case in the Senate as well. So all of these things go together. And what you're funding is the organizers who are doing this work and helping support volunteers who maybe have never lobbied before, who, are learning about this issue. And then all the infrastructure that we need to, our website, we have a virtual office, but our equipment, making sure that our phone works, our website is solid, our infrastructure in place. Yes, our database. Thank you. All that stuff. So we stretch our dollars really effectively, and your support will go right to the organizing to make the We the People amendment happen.
Yep, there's no one else doing this work is the reality of it, right? There's no one else pushing for an amendment that ends corporate constitutional rights. So it's on us to be able to fund this movement. The only thing that's really challenging corporate power in the United States. So that tells you why maybe it's a little underfunded, right? We're up against a whole lot of money, so we all have to pitch in a little bit. So thank you. And super exciting. HJR 48 is going to be reintroduced early next week. Yay for that.
Yeah, we do. So again, Ray, we're focusing more on the House. So here we go. We do have a action link here that this is what we'll share with everyone on Monday. This is an action to call your representative. And if they're already signed on and they tell you that, then you can just tell them thank you. But if they're not, then this is the opportunity to get folks. You can make that call over this weekend. I'm not totally sure what'll happen, whether they'll have voicemail on or not. So you'll have to see. And so focus on your rep first, your House rep. And then once it is introduced in the House, then we'll kind of put the materials up to go to the Senate. But there was no way it was going to get, it doesn't go to the Senate first. So it's got to be introduced in the House first. That's, the first thing that all the senators are asking is, okay, well, when it's introduced in the House, then we can, continue the conversation. So let's make that happen. And the We the People Amendment does get easily confused with the For the People Act, but We the People Amendment was there first. So, the name is kind of similar and some of the details are kind of similar. And there's also, some effort by some of the proponents of the For the People Act to kind of like conflate the issue of, money in politics and corporate power in a way that isn't actually accurate. So that's part of why it's important for us to explain to folks that these are two different things. And in fact, the For the People Act needs an amendment like the We the People Amendment to be in place as well, because otherwise a lot of the legislation that is in the For the People Act that we would want to make sure stays is vulnerable to being overturned by the Supreme Court. Because if corporations have constitutional rights, and as it relates to the For the People Act, even more specifically, if money is speech, then there are provisions in the For the People Act which could be overturned by the Supreme Court until we pass an amendment to make clear that that's not up to the Supreme Court to interpret, that money is not speech, that spending money in elections is absolutely something that government can limit, because that makes it more equitable for everybody to participate regardless of how much money they have. If we don't have an amendment that makes that clear, then the For the People Act is potentially just words on paper subject to the Supreme Court's interpretation. And we know how that goes.
Yeah. So yeah, and don't forget that you can also call reps who are in districts where you do business or own a business, or, you know, your kids go to school or something. Like, you also are allowed to talk to representatives who, you know, are still relevant to your life. So even if you feel like yours isn't going to come on, that's fine. You know, still give them a call. It helps in some way to let people know that this exists. But then also don't feel like you can't call other reps too. You actually can, especially ones nearby.
And we actually have a whole campaign. If you go to movetoamend.org/117 campaign for this, so that's the campaign to move the 117th Congress to pass the amendment. You can find resources for, you know, if your rep has already come on, once it's introduced and you see that list, or as Jessica said, I mean, some people have been very clear that they support corporate constitutional rights and they support money in politics. And so they're not going to sign on to this amendment. And if that's your rep, but you could help organize another district in your state where there's somebody that's more likely to respond for now, and then in the long run, help to get that person unelected and replace them with somebody who does support the We the People Amendment. That's the long game. But the short game would be that you could support a neighboring district, and there's materials and information on that page, including a list of targets so that you can know if you live anywhere near or have friends. And since these meetings are all happening virtually, these lobby meetings, you can support and help people who maybe your parents live in another state, but they have a more likely strategic target rep, or, you know, people in your family or friends or whatever, and you can help bring them in to Move to Amend, and we can organize together, even if it's not your rep. So that's another way to help. Well, that's kind of the news. We just wanted to thank the people who are most keyed into us and pay attention here on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, but also on our email list. And so give you a little bit of a perk for paying attention to Move to Amend that you know. Ajay, how about I will message you and I will send you a little prize for being the first one to say what our news is. And stay tuned for Monday. We are going to do another live broadcast. Keon and Greg and I will be on at 11 o'clock Pacific on Monday. Again, remember, we don't know for sure whether the amendment will be introduced Monday. It will for sure be introduced next week, and probably early in the week. If not Monday, then Tuesday or Wednesday. But Monday is the deadline for reps to come on as initial co-sponsors. So we're going to use that deadline. Obviously, people can sign on the very next day, but that initial co-sponsor list actually kind of means something within Congress. And so the longer that list and the more prominent the names on that list, the more effective the case we make for the people who come after that. So let's get that list as long as we possibly can. It also means we're that much closer to getting this done, which is, you know, what we're really here for. So.
That's right. Let's do it. And I see there's a couple other comments in the questions. Feel free to give us an email or a call. You can find all our contact info at movetoamend.org. We answer emails and phone calls. So if you want to follow up on any of these questions, we'll talk to you that way. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Have a good rest of your weekend. And we'll be in touch with you soon. You can find us here again on Monday at 11, and then check your emails over next week, because there'll be whatever news we've got on this and the next steps. That's where you'll be able to find all the details.
Yay. Thanks,
all right,
everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye. She's always so funny.